Are you having fun? This has been awesome. We have 3 presenters for you this afternoon, all talking about enterprise. Our first one is Boyan from TIMIFY. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Boyan, and I'm CPO at TIMIFY. Yep. So at TIMIFY, our mission is to help businesses save time and their customers as well, thanks to our versatile scheduling system. In the core of our platform is online booking. So we basically digitalize the services of our customers and make them online bookable through their website. We've built a beautiful calendar with advanced features from where our customers can not only manage the schedule of the whole team, but also easily communicate changes in appointments. We also created cross-platform applications for Android, iOS, and also macOS and Windows to make a better experience for our customers. Since you have to manage all your business, the customer data is really important. So we offer a customizable CRM to all our customers from where they can customize the data fields that they want to use in the online booking process. And since there are teams with more than 5 people or even less, thanks to our shift planner, it is really easy to manage the vacations, holidays, and sick days. We've recently launched a new feature, online payments with credit cards and debit cards, which basically gives the option to our customers to get payments in advance. And since we know all the data important to create an invoice, we are now launching our own invoicing and POS add-on with which you can basically synchronize and connect with card terminals like Samar. Our businesses, like enterprise customers and also our technical partners, are using our developer platform to create applications and integration to their SaaS applications. And last but not least, thanks to our app marketplace, we are able to enhance the core functionality of our product without overcomplicating it.
Okay, thank you. Have a seat. And our next presenter is Samar from Good&Co. He is going to be talking about corporate culture and how consumers come first. Come on up. Command.
Hi, everyone. My name is Samar Birwadker, founder, CEO of Good&Co. Good&Co has been described a bunch of different ways. Some people call us eHarmony meets LinkedIn. Some people refer to us as Myers-Briggs for the 21st century. Some people say we're like a quantified Glassdoor. I mean, in some ways, we're all of the above. But what Good&Co really does is solving an enterprise problem of culture fit, but does it in a very quantified, fun, gamified, engaging way as an employee-first solution. The big difference between us and a lot of the other enterprise players is that we started this as a social product first, because that's what our backgrounds and our DNA is about, and really creating a solution that employees love to use. And through that, we've become the largest soft skills database in the world already before we release our enterprise tools. And quite frankly, what we did was build this inbound lead generation engine through the consumer product. So people really come in, take all these fun quizzes about themselves, their coworkers, and manage their company culture. And the problem it really solves is that most enterprise solutions don't get adoption with employees. So we went employee first. And that allowed us to focus on the science, get the virality right. And then now that we've released our enterprise tools, really based on the inbound demand that's generated, the adoption and the rate of adoption and the curve is much faster. And the reason we're able to do that is because it's a fun employee-first solution. And then companies don't have a choice but to use Good&Co because we have thousands, if not tens of thousands of employees from that company already on the Good&Co platform. I'm, of course, happy to answer more questions as they come up. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a seat right here. Don't go away. I have more for you. Awesome. And our final presenter is Kolton from Gremlin. And he is going to come up here and talk to you about failure. I know it's hard. It's really hard. We don't want to fail, but we kind of have to. And he's going to tell you why.
my mic on? Here we
Your
go.
mic is on. You're hot, babe.
So what happens when the internet breaks? What happens when your airline goes down? What happens to your business or your revenue if you're unable to meet with your customers? In today's world, we need to be online 24/7. Scheduled downtime is a dirty word. Gremlin is built to provide failure as a service. Like a vaccine or a flu shot, we want to intentionally and proactively inject the kind of harm that's going to occur. This helps us build up our muscle memory and our response systems so that our systems become more resilient. Why is this important? Well, we've just moved all of our architecture into someone else's control, and we've just introduced network connections in between all of our services. So now we have this inherently complex system where no one engineer or team can keep it all in their head. And so we have to go out and proactively do this kind of failure testing, this chaos engineering. And doing this is well worth the money. The cost of downtime is immensely expensive. Low figures have it at $300,000 an hour, but if you're at internet scale, we're talking millions of dollars per hour. So it's worth the time and money to invest.
Fabulous. Have a seat. Well, I'm very excited about our panel. This is all about enterprise, software as a service. I want to throw out this first question, though. What is enterprise? What is the threshold? What do you think?
Well, enterprise, it's for me, it's not just bigger corporations. It's all kind of companies that are that want to do business with consumers, and it's how you basically help them solve their problems on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
I think enterprise used to be about solving problems, but now, as we're discovering, it's become more not just about solving problems. Just because you're a startup, you build an amazing solution that's technologically sound or unique. It's more about fitting their workflow and how they already do things. So we're discovering that that's a bigger problem to solve just because you have the technology. For example, in our space, in HR recruiting, it's not just about building a great solution, but it's also about empathizing with how they use these solutions. They spend 2 years integrating with SAP, and we want to make sure that we work within their workflow, right? And the more people adapt, the more successful we become. So in many ways, the challenges now are the same as they're on the consumer side. Building a consumer product that people love to use, I think with the enterprise, it's the same problem that needs to be solved, which is just because you're an enterprise product doesn't mean you have to be boring or you can be boring anymore.
Nice.
I think it's about economies of scale, being able to help large amounts of customers, being able to help large amounts of engineers, being able to help that wider impact, which is often relates to being able to provide more value. In the end, it's all about money.
What I thought was interesting was you were talking about integrating other systems. So when you're looking at software as a service and you're looking at building these large things, what do you have to think about, like integrating with SAP, or how many other platforms you have to touch or not touch? Like with your product, you integrate with Google Calendar, which for me is perfect, but for a corporation, it has to be Outlook or something else of scale.
Yeah, well, in our case, we're integrating. We actually build a developer platform, so other SaaS applications can use our UI to directly integrate their services into our product. And we realized that it's not just integration, like do some APIs, but it's the whole experience. And usually, in our case, we're talking about people who are not so technical. If you switch from one application to another, it's kind of complicated for you, and and when you're busy with all your customers doing all your things, it's just too much effort. So what we do is basically we offer our already known UIs that our customers are used to work with. And in the background, we use some other SaaS service.
So you become the gateway drug for other SaaS programs.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we're trying something new. I've never seen it with other, especially with competitors of ours. We're definitely one of the first.
Oh, your competitors don't even check my Google Calendar before it cross-books another appointment.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, well, let's talk about... You had a very fascinating way that you went about launching. So you come from the social network background, and you went consumer first. Now, most people would think that a company culture product would go after the big companies first, because it's enterprise, you'd go after the big boys. You took it the completely different route. Talk to me about that.
It was probably the hardest way to build a business. But you made a conscious decision early on not to sell Good&Co or not to build an employer product first. Because there's a lot of great products on the market that are solving that problem, but what we notice is that the sales curve is about 15 months long, especially selling into HR. And the bigger problem is that everyone talks about culture, but nobody knows what it means. Is like ping pong table and free lunches and shuttle bus is your culture? Maybe. It's a manifestation of your culture, but the culture is really defined by the people that you work with every day. And people join companies, but they leave teams and managers. So we discovered that it has to be an employee-first, consumer-first solution, and then we define or quantify culture through those people. And we build bottom-up pressure in companies. If we already have like 5,000 people in a company using the Good&Co app and they take these quizzes about each other, basically what we're doing is quantifying that company's culture in a statistically significant way so the companies don't have a choice but to use Good&Co. And we felt like that was the right way to go about it. So the first problem to solve was make this fun, engaging, viral, and valuable to people.
Ethical leverage.
Exactly. and basically companies are nothing but a collection of people.
Yeah.
So if you build value for people, you're building a long-term play of making sure that you're building sustainable value down the road. And yeah, that was a hard way to build it. And over the last 2 years, we've been able to do it more successfully because we got acquired by some massive company and they're investing a lot of money in us. So compared to what you asked in the past, it's about integration, right? When I was a founder that was looking for my next venture capital round every year, we couldn't exactly focus on the long term. I think that's a big difference in integration. So we can partner with clients and build integration solutions that really sets us up for the long term, for the next 3 to 5 years, instead of just something that's going to allow me to raise my next round.
Nice. Now, you were talking about $300,000 an hour. That number seems mind-boggling to me, but I used to get to break into banks for a living, by the way. It was my very favorite job ever. My bonus was based on how much I could steal off of the development server, and it was always everything. So I fully believe in what you're doing, and I think it's necessary, and everybody skips this part, but fail faster. So talk to me about what do they need, companies that aren't doing this, or companies that want to scale and get to enterprise, what do they need to think about to do this particular thing that you're doing to make sure that they don't fail in real life?
Yeah, again, I think it's about that cost of downtime. In the we tend to think of downtime as being from the website fails till it comes back up. But there's a lot more time and effort that go into these things. Right there, if you're in e-commerce, if you're in Amazon, that's tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars a minute. And so the price tag becomes really high. But then there's all of the engineering effort that goes into investigating it. There's all the engineering effort afterwards in understanding it and root causing it. There's always these incident review meetings where you have to go in and talk about it. And then you have to go fix it and make sure it never happens again. And so by the time everything's said and done, you've invested tons of engineering person months, and you're still maybe in a better place. And if you didn't go back and actually test it proactively, if you're uncomfortable to go break things in production, the environment that matters where all your customers live with scale that makes all the money, then you're not ready. And then you don't really know if you're protected. And then it fails again. And you wonder why you spent all that time and money.
Well, you're not protected. Somebody comes in the back door, does something nefarious, and you kind of don't say anything about it because, whoops, my pants were down. I kind of asked for it.
And that's the security perspective. But even if you just take good engineering practices, somebody pushes a bug.
Yeah.
You depend on, Amazon S3. Well, when Amazon S3 went down a couple years ago, it cost everyone other than Amazon $150 million.
Wow. Let's talk about integration. So your platform, do you guys have your own back end or integrating with Amazon? I mean, what are you using cloud-wise to help scale your enterprise SaaS?
Yeah, in our case, we're using Amazon, and we have our backend team who is taking care for everything from scaling to emergency situations and everything, and they're pretty good at this. I'm not so technical to speak about Amazon and other stuff, but that's what we're doing. We decided to use Amazon.
Okay, who are you using?
Well, our philosophy around this has always been that, like I said earlier, it's about fitting people's workflow, right? And so we basically first focus on building a solution. In our case, it's about applicant tracking systems in HR and recruiting. So if you use an applicant tracking system to track all your candidates coming in, you can't be too much of an outsider to change the system from the inside out. You have to be just enough of an insider to be different enough, but still work with their existing workflows. So in our case, we build a connector that speaks with the top 8 applicant tracking systems of the world and with our API. And it's a 2-week integration. It's not like a 6-month long or 9-month long integration that they expect the case to be. So we were ready with that even before we started selling to enterprises.
Well, that was fascinating. What you were talking about before is the 15-month sales cycle to go directly into HR, and instead you went consumer-facing. And it's the same thing when it comes to building those APIs and those connectors. It's only 2 weeks. That's definitely a better selling point.
Absolutely, and that's what we're noticing now is that, in a way, our clients are shocked. Wait, you can do this integration in 2 weeks? I'm like, yeah, we've solved for 80% of the market. And the second thing is, we already have 5,000 of our employees on the platform. So it's a bit of a no-brainer. So we can close deals in like 4 to 6 weeks compared to a 15-month-long traditional sales cycle.
Nice.
But it took 5 years to get here.
Okay. Last thoughts, 10 seconds, best advice for somebody who wants to launch an enterprise company.
Oh, keep working, never give up.
Okay.
I would say focus on the biggest problem first. Like the growth mindset is important. If you figure out how to sell it, it's easy to build it looking backward. So in our case, that worked. But I think the core differentiation in enterprise is not because you can build technology, but how do you sell technology and how you create a niche for yourself. That growth mindset needs to be figured out first. And it's easy for me to say maybe because I have a consumer background, but that's my 2 cents.
Awesome. Final thoughts?
Feel the pain. Do the work yourself. Embrace it. Be
Okay.
persistent.
Awesome. Fantastic advice. I want to thank my panel. Everyone give them a big round of applause.